I'd like to introduce Jason Gortney, Program Manager, and he's here to illustrate the unique approach Children's Home Society of Washington uses at Cobb Center.
Okay. So at Cobb Center, we are working with boys who have been through tremendous adversity. These are kids who have started life by being born generally into very chaotic situations. Many of them are born to parents who are drug addicted, who are struggling with their own mental health issues, and who are living in marginal situations. So many of the boys who are referred to us have been homeless before. They've had periods where they haven't had enough food to eat, and most of them have experienced abuse and neglect. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect in the form of not having basic physical needs met reliably, and also not having emotional and social needs met. What we have come to understand over the last few years at Cobb Center is that finding ways to help kids deal with the effects of these traumatic and stressful early experiences are really, we've really moved that to the forefront of our treatment model. Previously, because kids are referred into our program primarily because of behavioral problems, the focus was on trying to find ways to help motivate kids to change the behaviors that were getting in the way of them being successful in a home. And so we used techniques like rewards and consequences to help sort of encourage kids to change the behaviors that they were exhibiting to more acceptable and adaptive behaviors. But what we've really come to understand over the last few years with a lot of emerging research is that the reason that these kids are exhibiting the behaviors they're exhibiting is not necessarily because they aren't motivated to do something better or different, but it's really due to, it has its roots in their trauma and in their early childhood experiences of not having needs met, or not, their brains not being able to develop in sort of their fullest capacity because there were very stressful circumstances that did not promote sort of optimal development. So that we may see a boy come in at 10 or 11 years old, chronologically, who is functioning emotionally at age 4 or 5. So that they're exhibiting temper tantrums in response to kind of normal everyday stressors that most kids of that age would be able to cope with, but they're kind of falling apart in the way that a much younger child might. Really, it's about learning how to recognize and name the feelings that everyone has. It's about learning how to sort of rank how intense a feeling is, and it's about learning how other people's feelings may be different from the ones that we're having, and so that you can just to sort of give more tools for kind of managing one's own emotions, but also being able to kind of predict the emotions that other people are going to have based on what sort of our actions are. Because this is, emotional intelligence is something that's kind of develops naturally throughout childhood, but the boys that we see generally have a lot of deficits in emotional intelligence because the environments where they're coming from just were not conducive to them developing good skills around emotional intelligence. And so our approach is, rather than try to sort of put rewards out in front of them to try to encourage or motivate them to do something different, is to realize that instead what we should be doing is finding ways to teach those underlying skills that didn't develop when they should have when the boy was much younger. So we're finding strategies to do more teaching of skills and fostering the development of underlying skills, and we're doing much less of trying to motivate kids to do something different.